Hello crafty friends. So today I am playing with alcohol inks and glass bottles. Um, I had so much fun doing these, so I really hope you enjoy the video and I really hope that you give it a go. I think they turned out really nice. You can see the pictures properly at the end. Um, so yeah, stick around and this is what I do. I soak my bottles in hot soapy water to clean the inside, and then on the outside, once I've got the labels off, there's always a little bit of tack to them, so I use isopropyl rubbing alcohol and these little lint free cloths. Microfiber cloths and tissue, something like that would be absolutely fine. I just use these because I've got them. And then I'm going to put the alcohol onto cling film. Now I scrunched the cling film up thinking that it would give it a nice effect. However, when I do it next time I won't scrunch it because a lot of the alcohol kind of sits in the grooves of the scrunched up cling film. So going forward, if I do it again, which I do want to do one more bottle, I'll have my cling film straight. And then I basically add one of the colours. I use 3 colours on the bottle, and then I add some blending solution, and then I just get the bottle and I smush it and roll it into the colour. I do it all way, change the bottle round, do it all sort of different directions, until I've got the bottle kind of covered how I want it to be covered. You can leave it kind of marbled with a little bit of colour. You can do it so it's fully covered like I've done. I use a kind of tealy blue, I use a dark blue, and I use a light blue and a gold alloy. You do use a lot of blending solution for this. I did use about half a bottle, but it was on both bottles, it wasn't just on this one. So yeah, it's you can use a lot of product, but obviously you can use alcohol rubbing solution instead of blending solution. So I did buy myself a big bottle of blending solution because I only had a tiny bottle of blending solution. Sorry, I bought a big bottle of alcohol rubbing and some pipettes, so that if I do more, then I can use that instead. Otherwise, it will get rather expensive just buying tiny little bottles. And then I noticed, obviously, the top of the bottle doesn't touch the cling film when it's down, so I decide, right, okay, how can I get colour on the top? So basically I just add the colours and blending solution, and then just kind of rub it on with my fingers around the top of the bottle, and it worked really well. So yeah, it's just, whatever works really. Obviously this is my first bottle, so it's kind of trial and error. And I find that if you add a bit more blending solution, so it's a bit more runny, it seems to go on a lot better and the colour mixes better. So yeah, you can see there that all the colours are blended. I would have liked the gold to stand out a little bit more, so I think that I would learn from that going forward. And then I decided on this one I wanted it to be a Christmas bottle. So on my Cricut I cut out Merry and Bright with black vinyl. I'm just showing the process quickly here for anybody if you're new to using a Cricut or anything like that. So you weed it, add this transfer tape, I give it a good burnish on the back to make sure that it's really well stuck down to the transfer paper or tape. And then I find if I peel the paper from the vinyl rather than the vinyl from the paper, I find I've got more control of it that way, and it seems to come off a lot easier. but you know, you trust your own process, you find your own way. That's just what works for me. You might find it the other way around works better for you. And then basically put it down onto roughly the middle of the bottle. Now normally I would burnish it with a burnishing tool, however I don't want the tape around to be burnished too much to the bottle, because I don't want it to end up peeling off any of the alcohol ink, because at this stage I'd be in a bit of trouble. So I just burnish it with my finger and then really gently sort of peel it off, and it works out fine. I do recommend that once you've done everything you want to do on the bottle, to spray it with a sealer. I use Rust-Oleum clear matte finish sealer. And then I'm adding glass bottle lights, which I showed you there. And then because I recycle wine bottles or drinking bottles, we don't drink that much wine. I do get them from friends and family, so hence why I've always got quite a few. We don't actually really drink very much at all. But obviously on the bottom of the bottles there's numbers and dots and etc. So because I make to sell, I want to cover those up, so I decided I was going to cut some little gold stars and put them around the bottom. I also add some to the top just so that it matches, which you see later on. And then I decided that I wanted to try an already painted white bottle, to see what it looks like and see how well it works. It definitely, the alcohol definitely doesn't go on as well as it does with the plain glass, although it does as you go along and add more blending solution. So I find that with this one I needed a lot more blending solution for it to kind of sort of mix better on the bottle. But it is definitely a trust the process with this one, especially a painted bottle. But as you can see, it turns out really lovely, and I actually prefer this bottle to the other one. And then obviously at the top of the bottle where you've got the grooves where the lid screws on, I thought, okay, how can I get around that? So I added some blending solution. I didn't really add much more colour, because the colour come off with the blending solution. You can reactivate it. And then I used a pokey tool and just kind of smooched it into the grooves. And then I went around the rest of the bottle just to kind of blend it a little bit more with just some blending solution, and just kind of patted it here and there on bits that I wanted to blend a little bit more. And it worked really well. And then on this one I decided that I want to do flowers. So I used these duotone from Hunky Dory pads, and I use a Regal Rose and a Pretty Peony die sets from Crafter's Companion. And then this little pink tool, I have no idea where it come from, but it's great for shaping the flowers. And I use these pads because A, you can always find a colour because I've got all of them, and B, they're such a lightweight cardstock that they're great for shaping colour, great for shaping when you're making flowers. So I make different sizes. I use 2 different colours of the duotone, and then later I decide that I want to add a white, so I make a white one as well, but I use an unbranded dye to make the white ones. And then I decide that because the bottle's got gold, I want to bring in some gold. Now it's not very easy, I don't find it very easy to shape mirror card when you're making flowers. So I decide to get a plain white light cardstock. It's only like 180 or 220, and I colour it with this gold pen. Make sure you let it dry well. I didn't quite let it dry enough, it was still a little bit tacky, and it did colour my cutting plates a little bit, but it's come off after I've cleaned it. But it didn't pull off enough of the colour, So it was dry quite well. I did leave it for a good while, but it was just still slightly tacky. And then as I'm gluing them, I shape them on this foam pad. And because they're paper, I just use clow all-purpose, and I stagger the petals. And then as the glue dries, I just push them in the middle with my ball tools and then shape them like that, because I've already shaped the edges, although I kind of push them in just to give them a bit more shape. And I think it works out really well. And then because this gold card, obviously I've coloured it so it's coated in a sense, I use tacky glue just to make sure that it sticks well. And again, I just push the centres as the glue dries with my ball tools. And I do this for all of the flowers. You don't see me doing it for all of the flowers because I don't want to bore you. But then here's all the flowers that I've made in different sizes. And the big green ones there that you see, I don't actually use those because I put them onto the bottle and they just don't look right. And then I put the bottle onto my homemade bottle holder. And then that die that I've made to use this white flower, it's just an unbranded one. And then I just shape it the same way that I do the other ones. It's a 220 white cardstock, so it's a good weight for, I find any heavier than that and I find it really hard to kind of shape it without the card like creasing rather than shaping nicely. And then I add, which I don't bore you with showing you, but I've got an unbranded, like a leaf die, but I've added them together on the bottle so they look like a stem. And as you can see sort of in the centre of the bottle there, you can see where it looks a little bit messy where I've added them all so they look like branches coming off. And this nice big flower just hides all of that, so you know, you don't notice it. And I just cut those out of black cardstock and glue them down with tacky glue. And I wanted them to be stuck all the way. I didn't want any sticking out or anything like that. And then I just arranged the flowers around the stalks, just kind of as I saw what suited really where I put them, and just arranged them so they look nice. And obviously trying to cover up any bits where I've joined like the branches together or the stalks, stems, whatever that you want to call them. And I love this bottle. It's my favourite out of both of them. I think it's really nice. I don't think the video or the pictures at the end do it justice really. It's really, really pretty in real life. So yeah, I'm really glad that I had a play with this. I do want to do one more. At the moment I've only got the one more idea, so make sure you like and subscribe so that you don't miss that one. I want to make a Christmas one, another Christmas one, using I've got some green wine bottles, so I want to bring in the green and use some reds and some golds, and make a nice Christmassy one doing that, which I think will be really good. So stick around for that. And then I do decide that once I've stuck this flower on, I wanted to add another branch. It didn't quite look right, so I wanted to add another branch at the bottom going off to the right. As you're looking at the screen, it's on the right. And those kind of leafy branches, which you can see here, just at the bottom of the screen there, it does come into screen a little bit, into shot a little bit more in a minute, but you'll see as I add it on. It is an unbranded die. There was two of them that come in, so you had this leafy one, and then there was one which got like leaves, but it's got like almost like little mistletoe berries on it. And I'm really glad that I added this one going off to the side. I think it just fills the bottle out a little bit more. Plus I had a couple of flowers left that I wanted to use. I could have saved them and used them on another project, but I just felt that it needed a little bit more to it, because it just didn't quite look right, so I added this branch. And I've glued this because it's going onto the glass. I've used tacky glue. I use Kalau tacky glue. I haven't tried any other brands yet, but I wouldn't mind trying other brands. So if anybody's got any that work well, you could probably use Mod Podge, but I decided to use my tacky glue because it's easier, because I've got it in the very fine tip glue bottles. However, I have just treated myself to a glue press, because I have arthritis in my hands. So when I'm gluing a lot of fine things, I find my hands are really painful. So I treated myself to a glue press. It was a Christmas present from my husband, but I decided that it's a Christmas present from me to myself, so I can get some more Christmas presents. Naughty, but nice. But no, it'll probably be a Christmas present. Although I am using it because my hands do get really painful, and obviously I make whenever I'm well enough to make. So yeah, I do have arthritis gloves which I wear now and again, which you might see in some videos, but yeah, it still gets really painful. So I decided a glue press would be great. I watch Corinne's Crafts on YouTube. She makes a lot of cards, beautiful cards. If you haven't followed her, I recommend going and watching her if you're a card maker. She makes absolutely beautiful cards, and she's got a glue press and she really does rate it, so I decided to treat myself. I haven't used it loads. I have used it a few times. Like I say, I only really use it for like fiddly projects, or fiddly dies, or die cuts, or anything that's got lots of little bits. And it's mainly on my card making at the moment that I use it. Excuse me, my throat. I'm getting a frog in the throat, I think. And then I decided in the centre I wanted to add a little bling, so I used the Hunky Dory Diamond Sparkles, and in the big pink and gold flowers I use these Aurora Borealis, and the largest gemstones I use. Although they're sticky on the back, I do always add a little bit of tacky glue, just for peace of mind, because like I say, I do make to sell, so I want to know that, although I'm sure the glue on the back is absolutely fine, because I think I'm the only one that adds my own glue as well. But for peace of mind, I like to know, especially as this is going on to that painted gold. And then in the white with the pink centres, I use these very pale blue. They're called Beautiful Blues, again from Hunky Dory. And I use the medium size gems. And I think they're just absolutely stunning. They're almost like see-through. And then in the very small blue, light blue, I decide to use the very small gem, and it's the Pretty Pinks, and it's the palest one on there. And it's the smallest one as well, because obviously it's going into a very small flower. But I thought the small flowers would be great for kind of filling in little gaps here and there. You can see the finished bottle at the end, but I just think that I love it. I think it's beautiful. I hope I inspire you to give it a go. I loved this process. I thought it was brilliant. Really enjoyed making these. So yeah, this is the finished, my favourite one. I hope you like them. I hope I inspire you. If there's anything that you want to know if it will work on a glass bottle and you want me to try it, chuck your ideas at me. I'm happy to try them and let you know. I'll make a video so you can see whether they work or not. I want to try some glitter pastes at some point as well through stenciling. I think that would be pretty. Maybe some foiling. I've got some foil transfers. I wouldn't mind trying that. So yeah, I've got lots of ideas. So yeah, please do subscribe, because I don't, I want to get people, I don't want people to miss my videos. I think if anybody wants to try these sort of things out, I think it'd be good to get these videos across to those people so that they can see what works, what doesn't work, so they don't have to sort of try the mistakes. I do it for them. So yeah, please do like and subscribe. Sorry I didn't get a video out last week. I wasn't very well. I hope you've liked this one. I hope it inspires you. I hope you have a lovely weekend, and I will see you next week. Have a lovely week. Have a lovely rest of your weekend. Take care. Bye for now.